I'm Jeff Parker. Join me as I explore the wonders of the natural world with my camera.
Okay, so last week I talked about my difficulties in getting my target birds, the painted buntings, to go to the location I wanted. Today I'm going to talk more about how I manipulate the scene to get the shot. If I'm photographing typical backyard birds, what I have here, cardinals, blue jays, titmouse, chickadees, they'll come to sunflower seeds. No matter where I put the feeder, they're going to come to it. And that gives me a lot of flexibility and control over the situation. So I'll set up a feeder in an area that I want to bring the birds in, that I like the light, I like the background, get them used to coming to it. Once they're used to coming to the feeder, you don't want a picture of a bird on the feeder. That's kind of boring. You'd rather have something that looks like it was more natural, even though it's a manipulated setup, what I'm going to do. So first thing I'm going to do is take the feeder down. If you leave the feeder up, they're going to land straight on the feeder. You have no chance, basically, of them landing on your preferred perch. So I'm going to take these feeders down. This is white millet that I feed the painted buntings. Black oil sunflower seeds does everything else. Cardinals, woodpeckers, blue jays, titmouse, chickadees, homemade raccoon baffle. It works pretty well. So I'm also going to take the shepherd's hook down. Now if you're using hanging from a tree or something else, you're not going to be able to take your substrate that you're hanging your feeder from away. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and take this out also, otherwise the birds are just going to land here. They've been used to coming to this spot where the feeder was, and they're going to keep coming here even though the feeder's not here. They'll land right here, they'll land everywhere here except for where I want them to on my perch. So I'm just going to pull this out of the ground and lay it aside. Then I use one of these cheap tripods. You can get these, Walmart, Best Buy, whatever. They have a hole in the handle. Makes a good spot to put a perch in. It fits right in there. You can, you can raise and lower, move the perch wherever you want it to. And I try to get something with some interest. This perch is not great. I just had a shim here that fell out. I'm looking for it. So you need a piece of wood or something to shim it up, so you can put it in whatever position you want. And that way it'll stay whenever the birds land on it. It won't flip under. So the reason I picked this perch, even though it's kind of boring with, doesn't have a lot going on, it's kind of a stick, is the ball moss. So when I'm photographing the painted buntings, I can take that white millet. Let me loosen this. I can manipulate the perch where I want it, take that white millet that I feed them, and actually put it down in this moss where it doesn't show up in the camera. And that way when the birds land on it, they'll stay there for a minute before they jump down to the feeder. So what I'll do typically is, if I'm doing painted buntings, I'll do that. I'll leave the feeder right underneath here. And even if you don't bait the perch, a lot of times the birds will land here first, because this is where they were used to landing when the shepherd's hook was here. They'll land here, they'll look around, they'll see the feeder, and then they'll drop down. Now you'll have some individuals that just bypass the perch and they'll fly and land right on the feeder. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. But a lot of times I'll just leave the feeder here. If they start coming to it a lot like that, or going straight to it, then I'll take the feeder away as well. Then they don't have anything to land on. A lot of times they're going to land on my perch, looking around going, where's the feeder? It was just here. Why can't I find my food? But if I bait this a little bit, then that'll get them to stay. If you don't do that, if you have a feeder set up and the birds land on here first and drop down, they're not going to stay here long. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and be pre-focused on my perch and ready to go, because when the bird comes and lands here, he's not going to sit here and hang out for 5 minutes. He's going to land here, look around, and either fly away or drop down to my feeder. So you got to be ready to go. If you're fumbling around trying to get focus and this and that, bird's going to take off. You're not going to get it. So pre-focus on the perch, be ready as soon as the bird lands, get your shot. Now for your actual perch, the sky is the limit. I've used berries, perches with berries, cut things with green leaves, something like this yopon, the dark green bushes back here. They're evergreen, they don't wilt, you know, real quickly, so you can clip and leave it in there for several hours, it'll still look good. Some of the other plants, the light green beautyberry, if I tried that, it would wilt within half an hour. The leaves would be all wilty and bad looking. So you gotta kind of experiment, figure out what grows in your area that you can use for a perch that'll look like a live branch and not wilt right away. And you can decorate it up, berries, flowers, however you want to do it. Just leave an opening. If you have something with branches and leaves all over it, make a little opening, and that's most likely where the birds are going to land. You can pre-focus on that and be ready to rock. And that's pretty much it. That's how I get the shots of the birds on a branch. And you can also do, it doesn't work quite as well, but you can also do something similar with a water feature. You can have a branch or a perch over the water, and a lot of times they'll land on that before they drop down. So that's something you can try as well. Hope you enjoyed it, and subscribe, hit that like button. Thanks.